Hello and a warm welcome to Mindshift Media, the place where we explore the fascinating landscape of our minds and hearts. I'm Teodor, and I'm so glad you've joined me today. Have you ever had one of those days? You know, the kind where you wake up feeling a bit off? Maybe your patience is thin, your energy is low, or your usual spark just isn't there. We all have them. It's part of the human experience. A single bad day, or even a tough week, is often just life's way of telling us to slow down, to process, or maybe just to get a bit more sleep. But what happens when those off days start to outnumber the good ones? When that feeling of being off becomes your new on? What if it's not just you, but someone you care about? A friend, a family member, a colleague who seems to be carrying an invisible weight? That's what we're exploring today. How do I know if I or someone else is experiencing a mental health problem? What are the warning signs? It's a question many of us ponder, often in silence. Did you know that according to the World Health Organization, around 1 in 8 people globally live with a mental disorder? That means it's highly likely you, or someone you know, has been or will be touched by this. Today, we're going to gently pull back the curtain on this important topic. We'll talk about distinguishing everyday stress from something more persistent, explore common warning signs in ourselves and others, and most importantly, discuss this with compassion and understanding. This isn't about diagnosing, but about recognizing when it might be time to seek more information or support. So, take a breath, get comfortable, and let's shift our minds together. Before we dive into specific signs, it's crucial to understand that mental health exists on a spectrum. Just like physical health, it's not an all-or-nothing state. We all move along this spectrum throughout our lives, influenced by our genetics, our experiences, our environment, and even our daily habits. Think of it like the weather. Some days are sunny and bright, good mental well-being. Some are cloudy, a bit down. Some have passing showers, temporary stress or sadness. And for some, it can feel like a persistent storm, a potential mental health problem. The key difference between a passing shower and a storm often lies in 3 crucial factors: duration, intensity, and impact. Let's break that down. Duration. How long have these feelings or behaviors been present? Is it a few days, a couple of weeks, or has it been months? A persistent low mood for over 2 weeks, for example, is different from feeling blue for a day or two after a disappointment. Intensity. How strong are these feelings or experiences? Is the anxiety manageable, or is it overwhelming? Is the sadness a gentle melancholy, or a profound, heavy despair? Impact. This is perhaps the most critical one. How much are these feelings or behaviors affecting daily life? Is it making it difficult to go to work or school? Is it straining relationships? Is it impacting sleep, appetite, or the ability to enjoy things that were once pleasurable? If you notice that changes in mood, thinking, or behavior are persistent, duration, significantly strong, intensity, and are negatively affecting daily functioning, impact, that's a strong indicator that it's more than just an off day. It's also vital to remember that mental health problems are not signs of weakness, nor are they something someone can just snap out of. They are genuine health conditions, just like diabetes or asthma, that often require support, understanding, and sometimes professional treatment to manage or overcome. We're not aiming to put labels on ourselves or others here. Instead, we're trying to build awareness so we can recognize when something might be amiss and when extra support might be beneficial. This awareness is the first step towards fostering a more compassionate and supportive environment for everyone. All right, let's talk about tuning into ourselves. Recognizing warning signs within our own experience can be tricky because we live with ourselves 24/7, and changes can be so gradual we barely notice them until they're quite significant. But here are some common internal flags to be aware of. Again, remember the duration, intensity, and impact framework as we go through these. Persistent emotional shifts, feeling sad, empty, hopeless, or tearful much of the time. Significant loss of interest or pleasure in activities you once enjoyed. Perhaps your hobbies now feel like a chore, or you don't get the same joy from spending time with loved ones. Excessive worry or fear. Maybe you're constantly on edge, anticipating the worst, or experiencing panic attacks. Intense irritability, anger, or frustration, often over small things. Feelings of worthlessness or excessive guilt. Changes in thinking patterns. Difficulty concentrating, remembering things, or making decisions. This might show up at work, in studies, or even in simple daily tasks. Racing thoughts or, conversely, a mind that feels blank or muddled. Unwanted, intrusive, or distressing thoughts that are hard to shake off. In more severe cases, perhaps thoughts of self-harm or suicide. And let me pause here to say, if you are experiencing such thoughts, please know you are not alone and help is available. We'll list resources at the end of the show and in our show notes, but please reach out to a crisis line or a trusted professional immediately. Physical changes, often overlooked. Significant changes in sleep patterns, sleeping too much or too little, or waking up frequently and not feeling rested. Changes in appetite or weight, either a loss of appetite and weight or increased cravings and weight gain. Unexplained physical ailments like chronic headaches, stomach problems, or muscle tension that don't have a clear medical cause. Constant fatigue or lack of energy, even after resting. Behavioral changes, withdrawing from friends, family, and social activities, neglecting personal hygiene or responsibilities, increased use of substances like alcohol or drugs as a coping mechanism. Let me share a brief, anonymized story to illustrate. Think of Sarah, a vibrant person who loved her book club and her weekend hikes. Over several months, Sarah started cancelling on book club, saying she was too tired. Her hiking boots gathered dust. She found herself irritable with her partner and struggling to focus at work. She was sleeping poorly and often felt a sense of dread she couldn't explain. These weren't isolated incidents, but a pattern. The duration was months. The intensity of her dread was growing, and the impact was affecting her relationships, hobbies, and work. This cluster of changes signaled that something more significant was happening. If you recognize some of these signs in yourself, please don't dismiss them. It's not about being overly dramatic. It's about being honestly self-aware. This awareness is a sign of strength, not weakness. It's the first courageous step towards understanding and well-being. Just as we can learn to recognize signs in ourselves, we can also become more attuned to the people around us. Observing warning signs in someone else requires sensitivity and a non-judgmental approach. Often, the person experiencing the mental health challenge might not realize it themselves, or they might be afraid or ashamed to speak up. Here are some changes you might notice in a friend, family member, or colleague. Again, consider the DII framework: duration, intensity, and impact. Noticeable changes in behavior and mood. They seem unusually sad, withdrawn, or quiet, especially if they are typically outgoing. Conversely, they might seem unusually agitated, irritable, or prone to outbursts of anger. They might express feelings of hopelessness, helplessness, or being overwhelmed more frequently. You might notice a decline in their personal care or appearance, social withdrawal or isolation. They consistently make excuses to avoid social gatherings they used to enjoy. They might stop returning calls or messages or seem distant even when present. This isn't just wanting some alone time, it's a more pronounced and sustained pattern of pulling away. Changes in performance or functioning. At work or school, you might see a drop in productivity, increased absenteeism, difficulty meeting deadlines, or a general lack of motivation that's out of character. They might neglect responsibilities at home or struggle with routine tasks. Increased substance use. You might notice they're drinking more or using drugs more frequently, perhaps as a way to cope with difficult emotions. Expressing extreme or unusual thoughts. They might talk about feeling like a burden, or express paranoid thoughts, or seem to have lost touch with reality in some way. Any talk of death, dying, or suicide should always be taken seriously. Let's consider Mark, a colleague who was always punctual, engaged in meetings, and known for his good humor. Over a few months, his team noticed he was frequently late, seemed disengaged during discussions, and his usual jokes were replaced by a quiet, sometimes irritable demeanor. He started missing deadlines, which was very unlike him. His colleagues, noticing this sustained change, duration, the clear shift in his demeanor and performance, intensity and impact, became concerned. It's important to approach these observations with care. We're not diagnosing, but we are noticing patterns that suggest someone might be struggling. The goal is to open a door for connection and support, not to label or judge. Remember, people often try to mask their struggles, so these signs might be subtle at first. Now that we've discussed some common warning signs, it's crucial to highlight a few important nuances. Firstly, culture and background matter. What might be considered a warning sign in one cultural context could be a normal expression of distress or a different way of coping in another. It's important to be sensitive to these differences. Secondly, age plays a role. Warning signs in children and adolescents can look different than in adults. For instance, in younger children, you might see more behavioral changes like increased tantrums, clinginess, or regression in milestones. In teenagers, you might see intense mood swings, beyond typical teen angst, withdrawal from family, but perhaps over-involvement with a specific peer group or risky behaviors. In older adults, signs can sometimes be mistaken for normal aging, like memory problems or increased apathy. Thirdly, and this is paramount, recognizing signs is not the same as diagnosing. This podcast and any information you gather online is for awareness and education. A formal diagnosis can only be made by a qualified mental health professional like a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a clinical social worker after a thorough assessment. Please resist the urge to self-diagnose or diagnose someone else based on a checklist. So, what do you do if you recognize these signs, either in yourself or someone else? If it's you, 1. Acknowledge it. Your feelings are valid. It's okay not to be okay. 2. Talk to someone you trust. A friend, family member, or spiritual advisor can offer a listening ear and support. 3. Consider professional help. Speaking with your doctor is a great first step. They can rule out any underlying physical causes and refer you to a mental health specialist. Therapy, counseling, and sometimes medication can be incredibly effective. 4. Practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. This is a journey, not a race. If it's someone else, 1. Choose the right time and place. Find a private, comfortable setting where you can talk without interruption. 2. Express your concern gently and specifically. Use I statements. For example, I've noticed you seem a bit down lately and I'm worried about you, rather than you're clearly depressed. Share what you've observed without judgment. 3. Listen actively and validate their feelings. Let them share their experience without interrupting or offering unsolicited advice immediately. 4. Offer support and encourage them to seek help. You could say, "I'm here for you. Would you be open to talking to a professional? I can help you find resources if you like." 5. Respect their choices, but don't give up. They may not be ready to accept help immediately. Continue to be a supportive presence. If you are seriously concerned for their immediate safety, reach out to emergency services or a crisis line. Remember, reaching out is a sign of strength, both for yourself and when supporting others. We've covered a lot today on Mindshift Media, from understanding the spectrum of mental health to recognizing warning signs in ourselves and those we care about. The key takeaways are these. Mental health is dynamic. Warning signs are signals that something needs attention, often characterized by changes in duration, intensity, and impact. And recognizing these signs is the first step towards fostering well-being. This journey of awareness is not about fear or labeling. It's about empowerment, compassion, and connection. It's about creating a world where it's okay to talk about our mental health, where seeking help is seen as a courageous act, and where we all feel equipped to support one another. If this episode resonated with you, or if you know someone who might benefit from hearing it, please do share it. Your small act of sharing can make a big difference in someone's life. Thank you for joining me, Teodor, on Mindshift Media. Remember, understanding your mind is a continuous journey, and every step towards awareness is a step towards a healthier, more fulfilling life. If you found this episode helpful, please show your support by hitting that like button. Subscribe to Mindshift Media so you don't miss our future episodes, and tap the notification bell to stay updated. We'd also love to hear your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Sharing helps us all learn and grow. Until next time, be kind to your mind and be kind to others. Take care.